Yao Anas, investigative journalist we all know around the world, um, has won a case against Kennedy Agyapong in the United States of America. Tonight, we will have the privilege to speak to the lawyer of one of the lawyers of Anas Arimyao Anas. His name is Evans Selassie Adika Esquire. He is going to brief us on what actually happened or how it started, and how we ended up here. We have Anas' lawyer, one of his representatives or his counsels, Evans Selassie Adika. He's on the line to speak to us on this very matter. Good evening, lawyer.
Good evening, Kevin.
Thank you very much. My first question to you is a very difficult one. You speak English. You speak from your name, Selassie. You speak ever like me, Melakope. Do you speak the Akan language?
Yes, please, I speak.
Good.
Tree, yeah.
It makes it easy for you and easy for me too. Good evening and welcome back to the show. Today, we got news that Anas Arimyao Anas, Oye Ghanaian, Oye investigative journalist, his work, over the years, he has gone through a lot of court appearances, in Ghana and also in the United States. And the Abetin say Kennedy Agyapong or former MP. A few years ago, announced the investigative piece by na football home, GFA, and at the end of the day, Nyoma Bibrisi, one of his colleagues or any investigations near the day, Ahmed Swale, FMU, Ehre. After that, series of Nyama Esi, a lot of information out from Kennedy Agyapong, and a lot of allegations that were made against Anas. Say it wouldn't crumple Ahmed Swale, at the point Kennedy was insinuating on radio and on TV, say Anas Nimhubi. A lot of things were said by Kennedy Agyapong. He even went further to have a whole documentary session at his premises. Otunidin, who watches The Watchman, Obo video, trying to create the impression that whatever Anas put out initially as the original documentary, he has the original tapes that were hidden and all that. Now, fast forward, Anas Arimyao Anas felt to say there was a lot of allegations made. He thought he needed to clean himself because of the reputation he carries and also his work ended up in New Jersey in a court. To make it easy for us, we are one of the lawyers for Anas, and I want to state again, Udini Evans Selassie Adika, renowned lawyer. Bepacho, can you run us through how it started and how we got to know today, say, a judgment in the New Jersey court, Abba?
Okay, Mr. P. The interesting thing is, I quite remember that you were sued in the U.S. sometime in 2021.
Yes.
And that actually caused my clients to begin inquiring about possibly if there was anything out there, whether it will be actionable in the U.S. Mm. So you have some significance to today's events. So shortly after, when you were going through your motion to dismiss, we actually took a keen interest in that case and reviewed all the pleadings. Mm. And during that time also, my client informed me of a video that was circulating on social media. I just say, and someone just like about my client. So, like, as the intellectuals that we are, we started opening the books and try to see where we can lay a claim. It's interesting enough, after reviewing the video, in our training, there's something that we are taught. So, in your case, it has to pass the test, and the case has to stand on all fours, which means that you do an analysis of whether there's jurisdiction in place, whether you have all the elements of each claim that you want to bring, So we went through all of that, and my conclusion was yes, on the basis of video now, my client is send them, you tweet back court, New Jersey, as I say, ya papa no video no so ya papa na nenum nsam kire say okase fi ni fie New Jersey. Na unim say ye krom for so no the diaspora is very important. Obviously what you do is testament to that fact. And there was an audience that he spoke to we're Ghana for they all take a keen interest in the happenings in Ghana, especially the politics in Ghana. So we thought, there was solid grounds for us to be in the court in New Jersey. So I advised my clients accordingly. Now I wouldn't say a lawyer. So obviously he was an integral part of what was going on in the preparatory stage. At that time, I am a U.S. trained lawyer, but I currently only practice in Ghana. And there was a team of us. I'd like to say congratulations to my learned colleague Oded Crow. He was a part of yes, he was counsel of record in Ghana. So I pulled him into the research, and we drafted a complaint. And like a lawyer, so we did the work, and he actually filed it himself. So after the preliminary back and forth, initially the case was we sued in 2022.
Okay. Yes.
We filed suit sometime, I think.
The complaint.
Yeah, sometime I think in the summer of 2022.
May 17th, 2022.
Yes. And by law, there was a period by which Yapapano Anka was or responded with what is known as an answer. But so Yapapano filed a response, and my case no call into default. Now, after a period of default, you can actually go for judgment. Now, a case near Fale, we filed on 3 counts. But I couldn't say a chrome or a chrome 4. The second one was or you would in terms of Onuna or behind the medal of Yenuya Ahmed Swale.
Yeah.
Now, the third one, so say Yenuya no a serial killer in terms of Woku Chinese for Bibribi Ghana. And then the fourth one is or a criminal, the blanket word criminal. And then the fifth one by implication, say Onuno behind Woody Sembiana, that means say Abiana no a trigger man and also no will be second and say perform the physical act that led to the foreseeable events, which is Obi a. So we also included a count that he is that he claims that my client a co-conspirator in multiple serial killings. So that was basically the gravamen of our complaint. And when it went on undefended after the response time, now we began to make preparations to move for judgment. But being that I was in Ghana and we are all based in Ghana, we reached within our network and we partnered with 2 brilliant lawyers who I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate. Atawemega Esquire, he was the father figure of the team of lawyers, and a brilliant trial lawyer by the name of Andrew Dehere. These are all brilliant Ghanaian lawyers on this case. And at that point, we recruited them as counsel of record, and the case went at that point. Kennedy's lawyers came in, obviously because near Beji judgment for the full $30 million. And so he had counsel, and counsel came and also did his thing. Reopen default, they argued that they had a solid defense, and I think right around then, and I almost got judgment from Ghana, really see it. And I know so say defense to case I because New Jersey.
But Ghana, so case no
exactly.
Case. Okay.
So as defense against, but the interesting thing is that the defamation sits here say can ma ko na the work court ko be fufu na ko kan it's a separate case.
Yeah.
Into no to me ko judgment to Ghana and from the defending way, you still have to prove the truth of it. And this time in this jurisdiction the law is the same essentially because Ghana Yemrano, but you sound so Emra, free other countries. There are certain times that even though of presidential value, I just said, judge into me, so India, but we to me the two who na senior or the two more, especially in cases maybe you decided that type of a case. And Emrano is the same as Ghana. Procedurally, there are certain nuances. Sometimes in terms of certain dates, you have to do certain things by. And also in New Jersey, Emra drafted complaints. We were fully aware that we were required to prove what we were claiming by a higher standard than in Ghana.
Yeah.
Yes. In this case, and not even that. In this case, we were required to prove our case not by the normal civil standard, but by a clear and convincing evidence standard. Okay. And they responded with that, and they were able to successfully reopen the default, which paved way for them to file an answer. And they filed an answer which essentially claimed that there was some sort of back and forth between him and Anas. And we took it for what it's worth, and we forged on. And we finally got our trial date sometime earlier this year, and it was postponed. And then we finally went to trial last Monday. We started trial on Monday, and we put up our case. My client testified. He testified. He brought other witnesses, and after listening to both sides. Senior the answer na ever try case the difference between what happened with Ghana and see Johannes said trial by jury and judge or judge back one I say judge me no one I say judge me and send a bit but normal people among the streets of New Jersey, tax-paying citizens, and they are two and from. So as part of the defense, I think it's only fair that Meka charges counts na the buy and the civil claims na the buy. His defense was also although Oka said it was some sort of just based banter between him and Uniano, he came to court and asserted truth as his defense. And so
time I caught to say sa counting na mode bono no say on it and us back and forth, right? The only claim of making or say banter. I just say we can't wait and share or no, they're not all can you say obi to be more almost tomorrow.
But all you do court me there that was not
and your son of okay ura court no G2
yeah be or maintaining the position say no can or down standing by no kind.
Okay.
Basically remember just of practice no crane di no onye boni bia.
Okay.
So to support that or they move your try or in net to who watches a watchman. But the announced by as on only defense and so the jury had the opportunity to evaluate that and factored that in the analysis, and obviously it was not the weight that they wanted the jury to accord to it. So jury never bugui. About 20 minutes later, the jury came back with a verdict, and there were a multiplicity of very quick. And there was a multiplicity of questions that were posed to the jury. That's the way how they arrived at the decision. It's and also unanimous. People who were picked off the streets of not picked off the streets of New Jersey, but they're to from based on address, voter registration data. And but within 20 minutes, they saw through everything and said no. So they came back and there was not even one juror that sided with Yapapana Samuel.
All against
8-0 on every count and on every question that was posed to the jury, including damages now about no bedu komono. And also there was a unanimous decision. I just say it was a solid decision of the jury. 20 minutes on take it down. Say there was no doubt in our presentation to what you kind of lay people. These are not experts in the law.
Yeah, they are just
these are lay
people who just sat and used their common sense to come to a conclusion.
No. I will not say use that. I will not say use that common sense.
They listen to you and they listen to the other part. It makes sense though.
And then the law, the law is the law. No judge in this world has any power to bend the law. That sort of conduct is what causes strife and war in places.
Yeah.
America had the judge actually before the judge ever kind jury instruction, but catch jurors and say, "Oh no, only to be a assassin na you know kwa between say obekayimra achiro mo achiro mo." And that's how it went. But you know what's interesting about Nisi and or a lawyer contrary, even though people don't give him credit for that.
At least Bonidina Anas asem na working.
But Anas, Anas. Or also a very astute lawyer, Onimumrapa, Nubia, Yagrimano. And and some people walk cry a car on Jintumu, but sometimes a team of legal team to we come to a compromise. Now, he has been adamant about clearing his name because I have a personal experience of understanding. It's one of the worst things that can happen to someone.
Yeah.
And he absolutely took the position there. He wanted a trial. He's not interested in any settlement. He's not here for the money. He's here to clear his good name that he has built over time. And in his profession, at this time, Anka also started doing one. So he always maintained that he wanted a trial to the point where sometimes there was a disagreement in the legal team. Now, procedurally, America, peace. Schedule say, and from this time to this time, staff that work out we are dedicating it to your case. It's no small matter.
I know. I've been there. It's not easy.
Before they will go to trial, there's mandatory settlement conference. I bet say at this maybe by this time we'll be say grow or they'll commit to the right census and decide say this shouldn't go on because yes. And I acquire unfortunately me Anas disagreed with me, but I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million, just like the jury came back. As you know, these days we have all kind of tools that we can use to predict certain things.
Before you go ahead, this is where the contention is, and people saying 80 million, others saying a year 30 million. Now when you read,
well, we'll come to that. Let me clarify. Let me just clarify.
Yeah.
Okay. Complaints the coin. Yeah, claim for $30 million. $30 million.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And what I'm saying is that at the before the mandatory settlement conference, or before the jury is empaneled, even though my client had firmly informed me he had no intention of settling this case because he believes that he ought to go to a jury of his peers to clear his name. But maybe let's just prepare our settlement memorandum, be thorough and be reasonable.
Yeah.
And even though he protested, I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million US. Okay. Now you do settlement conference, about court. Now the lawyer say what he was willing to settle this matter for, and he said $10,000. So honestly,
it's clarification is very, very important. Normally Ghana.
Okay.
Into Mukodru Hono. Anas initially, kind of simple street language, and the damages are not paid around $30 million. And the client and Anas Kasa say, a woman saw pay $30 million, and yes, he can't all pay. In fact, he wants his name to be cleared, and then the priority of going to court.
Yes.
But because of the experience, now unim sibi anyo matiano, no client here Anas Kasa and say, it will be better and to be reasonable to at least settle on $80 million. And I'll say, no client and us, you did not really agree, but because he respects you as his counsel and as a lawyer, you people ended up around that money, around that figure, which is $80 million.
Oh yes, and like I said, your lawyer at a Wemega, New York.
Oh, yeah.
Also come home. Andrew D here.
Yeah, you are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. When a guy is there,
yes,
D here is there, Crow is there, yourself. Basically, as we are speaking to you, we are speaking to all of them because.
Yes. So
yeah.
The whole team agreed on that, but he was the only reluctant one in settling the matter. But procedurally, we couldn't go to trial without actually going through to the settlement conference.
Yes.
In spite of his reservations, we still almost cut our demand down to about a little over half.
Okay.
But to our surprise, yeah, Papa no buy and also no bet $10,000 to end the case.
No.
And I want to arbitrate and who said no, some way I'm sure so I can papers, So he said basically go and take your gamble in the courtroom. So that's how we ended up going to trial. So to go back to how it ended, so at about 4:50 on Thursday. And the jury brought us in and they told us what unanimously what they had arrived at. But we decided to keep it under wraps because there was a component you multiply 18 million by 5 money do 90 million for a total of about
that was the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah, because
to do that. Okay.
Yes. And then you decided to say about to board with coming public with the finding of culpability on Thursday.
Yeah.
We ended up leaving that alone. A pursuit of ×5 because almost file emotions be I just say or see a two in terms of that and sana. Say one way or another I could pursue that ×5 and I say depending on what happens, maybe I between German and Cafe. At this time, almost my court no say into swore.
Okay. So at this point, my court who say 80 million or almost pentiswo. How many days do they have to file that?
Okay. So at this point, the next thing that's going to happen is that there's going to be a paper. A judgment. I just say court reading seal better so.
Yeah.
That would take a few days, and then after that, I believe there's a 5-day rule that's within which you can file that motion. So a bay motion, depending on how that motion goes,
okay.
We will get a chance. We may get a chance to attempt to get our ×5 of that 18 million, or a big German. So depending on how that motion goes,
So for now,
yes.
18, Obintiminka said that is the end of the case. It depends.
No, it's not because hypothetically, we still have the opportunity to go for ×5.
That is 50. Okay. Now let's go back and watch.
Okay, so the court's decision, if we start at the end, the court is denying the request for mistrial, and everyone can file motions at the appropriate time, and the court will address everything after the motions are filed appropriately and then responded appropriately. Does anyone have any questions about anything?
No, thank you so much.
Good luck to everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much for record.
So there's one thing you need to take notice of. Anas was still wearing nose mask in court. But over Ghana, judge to meet Tinoka says Anas saying nose mask na yendi. You see the difference. You see how our judiciary in Ghana. How bad some of our judges are. The judge sitting in that courtroom in New Jersey is looking at the facts and evidence before him. How you dress to court is up to you. It is your presentation in court, how the jury will see you. Whether you wear a nose mask or not, at the end of the day, it is your case, the substantive case, your evidence is what they are looking at, because they are dealing with the law. They are not looking at individuals. And the law itself is blind. It does not look at faces, background, economically where you are coming from, or financial, or whatever. It's looking at the case, the law. They are applying it. So whether somebody is dread, whether somebody is wearing a nose mask, whether somebody is wearing a face shield, what is more important to the jury and the judge is that look at the evidence before you. Look at it and apply the law, and let's see. But don't say, Senya Omubu Asemgu Anas so Ghana was that. It wasn't the substantive issue Anas had brought to court. Anas trying to defend himself. In Ghana, the Edibuati Anas say yes, nose mask be Anas face mask be. Say Anas say yeah. That means Anas is guilty. This is where we are as a nation. Judge to me say, because of face mask, nose mask, because I want you to look in a certain way in my court. You know, if you don't look that way, I am going to call you a criminal. I am going to label you a criminal. That is the danger in our judiciary. And that is what we need to look at. Are we looking at a substantive case that is before us as judges, as judiciary, or we are looking at the characters or the individuals standing before us? And when you go to Ghana, the judiciary today look at the people involved in the case than the case itself.